Oh, when you do this by yourself, Dan, it's a nightmare.
Do I look at you or look at the camera?
We're going to talk to me.
You know, let's start talking about the kids who aren't ever talked about.
Exactly. Welcome to Jersey Mat Chat. Welcome to another episode of New Jersey Mat Chat. I'm Pete. I'm here today with Dan Wernikoff of Champion Athletes, and we have a special episode for you today. I actually came all the way down on location to Dan's office in Manalapan to find out about this entire nutrition game for wrestlers. One of the things when I first, my son was wrestling when we first got into this was, how does nutrition actually work? Who do you talk to? What do you eat? Do you try it on your own? Can you just get it off ChatGPT? What's the best way to approach nutrition, and what is the point of working with someone who specializes in nutrition and does that help? So I immediately, as you know from watching some of our episodes, Champion Athletes is mentioned all the time. A lot of top wrestlers use them. So we wanted to come to Dan and give him a chance to speak to us and educate us on the best way to approach nutrition as a wrestler and as a wrestling parent. So Dan, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Pete. I really appreciate it.
Let's start off with just a little bit about you. How'd you get into nutrition? How'd you get into this entire game?
So this is actually my second career. I was originally a flight paramedic and then a hospital administrator. In 2006, the hospital that I worked for closed, and I decided to go back to school, get more education, and become a certified sports nutritionist. Both my sons wrestled, and I thought wrestling was an amazing sport, but the weight management part was terrible, and I really wanted to improve upon it for both my sons, their friends, and future wrestlers all around.
And the game has changed a lot since 2006. I mean, you've seen the way they approach weight management.
Yes. I mean, weight management is constantly evolving.
Right.
The expectations are very different from when my sons wrestled to now. But if anything else, because we have better technology, we're able to make it healthier and better for the athletes themselves.
And also more enjoyable.
Oh, 100%.
You know, I think that's kind of the important thing. When I first brought my son, full disclosure, came for an initial evaluation so far, so I can get a little bit of the experience myself and kind of learn about the process with Dan. And one of the things I noticed was how it's kind of applicable to kids, how, you know, it's not just a strict guideline of what to do. You kind of work with them and kind of customize it to them. So explain a little bit about that aspect of nutrition.
Sure. So our program starts out by emailing a questionnaire that each athlete fills out about their eating habits and their families, what they like, what they don't like, and what their goals are. They come in for an appointment. We go over the questionnaire with them. We get to know about their eating habits, any allergies, very specific things about their family's eating habits. Some people have religious reasons that they can only eat certain foods. Other people have a lot of allergies. A lot of athletes these days have extensive allergies. So that needs to be taken into consideration in the plan that you design for them. So all those things are taken into consideration. And then once we know about their eating habits, we need to know about their bodies. We need to know their muscle mass, their body fat. We need to know where they are with their growth, their maturity. And first of all, determine if the weight class they want to wrestle is an appropriate weight class for them to be at. Because a lot of times kids are making these decisions now in the fall,
right,
but they need to know that they can make that weight by the end of February, beginning of March.
Yes.
And that's very hard in a growing and maturing athlete.
Especially during the off season, because if you're wrestling tournaments and stuff, you might have to cut for those tournaments and back and forth. Do you approach those seasons differently with the children?
Yes, absolutely. So in season, we try to maintain our athletes about 2 pounds overweight in their morning weight.
Okay.
When they're out of season, they're able to weigh more. And then leading up to an event, usually 10 to 14 days before, is when we begin the process of bringing their weight down to get them ready for off-season competition.
Now, obviously, nutrition is a huge part of wrestling. It gives you an advantage. But at what point in a kid's career, coming up, would you say is probably the best time to start to really take it seriously and to maybe bring in an outside nutritionist?
So generally, we start with kids as young as 10 years old, and it really depends on what their particular needs are. For some of the younger athletes, it's really about just educating them on how to eat better so that they can perform better. We also have a lot of younger clients who are maybe on the smaller side, who are concerned about being able to make that 106 weight class by the time they're freshmen in high school.
Okay.
So we help a lot of those kids with starting to eat better so their body can begin growing and maturing a little bit better and be in a comfortable place to be in that 106 weight class by the time they're freshmen in high school.
So it's not all about cutting weight. Sometimes you're adding weight and both, vice versa.
Well, Champion Athletes works with every athlete. So we don't only work with weight-based athletes. We do about 60% of our clients are weight-based. So whether they're wrestlers, MMA, boxers, or any of the Asian sports. But then about 40% of our clients are other athletes. We work with lacrosse players, football players who are trying to put on weight. We work with a large number of swimmers who are really just trying to eat better to improve their performance and improve their body composition so they can improve their performance through better nutrition.
Wow. So if you're a wrestling parent and you have a child out there about that age and you're looking for a nutritionist, walk me through what you learned as a parent. How would you approach them, or how should they approach their child's career?
So I think the most important thing is you need to find out where your child is. You need a snapshot of where their body is before you can make any decisions. You need to know where they are with their growth and their maturity, their muscle mass, their body fat, because people will walk up to you and say, well, he can lose 5 pounds to get to this weight. But what if his body fat's only like 5 or 6%? He may not have the fat to lose, which means he would have to lose muscle in order to get to that weight that you're contemplating having your son weigh in for wrestling.
Right.
So the whole point is finding out where your son or daughter is and then making a healthy determination of what would be a healthy weight class for them to be at.
Now, who makes that determination? Is it always just you and the parents? Sometimes the coaches? Do you deal with the coaches too? Or how does that usually work?
So we do interact with coaches if the parents give us permission to.
Okay.
We do have some team programs. So those programs are set up a little differently. We do work with some entire teams. We're the nutritionist for the Baylor School, which is a private school in Tennessee. We're also the nutritionist for Rider University's wrestling team.
Okay.
So we work with all the Rider University wrestlers. So those situations are a little different. Sometimes parents ask us to talk to the coaches, and we will with permission from them.
Okay.
But generally, it's between the athletes, the parents, and myself.
That's awesome. So you basically take the whole spectrum on what they want. It's customized in that regard as well.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, if you're a wrestling parent, right, and you bring somebody in here for an evaluation, what are they going to gain from working with you as an advantage versus, trying to do it on their own, going to ChatGPT and getting a list of things that's there? Explain the difference.
So they're going to get a customized meal plan designed specifically for their athlete.
Okay.
Our plans are based on 3 meals and 3 snacks a day, and they're based on their athletes drinking a large amount of water. And we help them through the process. So our weight-based athletes text us their weight every morning and every day after practice leading up to an event, and we help them make any adjustments so they're right on target for their weigh-in.
And what does that involve, usually making adjustments in turn?
It depends on what's going on with the athlete. So sometimes it means reducing the calories from where they were to a lower calorie plan leading up to competition.
Right.
Sometimes it means changing the amount of water they're drinking. It really just depends on where they are. That's why we're monitoring them twice a day.
I also know from some of the comments we got on the podcast about, emotional support as well. It's not always just about the information. It's also about kind of when you're going through it and being able to reach out to you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm available to our athletes from about 6 in the morning till about 11 o'clock at night. And I believe that the emotional part is a big part of this because managing your weight, being that structured is difficult, especially for the younger athletes. So I give them strategies with how to deal with things like when they're hungry and they're not on their plan or whatever it might be. We try to give them that emotional support as well to help them be at their best.
What kind of inspired you with this? Obviously, when you started working with certain athletes, you told me you started with because of your kids and stuff, but when did you start to see that what you were doing was really working? Explain a little bit about that.
It was just something that started to progress over time. What really happened was that I started doing this out of my kitchen, and then my sons, some of their friends would come over and we would do the stuff with them. None of the equipment that I have now, I had back then. We measured body fat with calipers and basically a kitchen scale. And that's how things got started. But then their friends talked to other people. And before I realized it, it grew into a business. We have 3 locations in New Jersey. Last year, we had over 200 wrestlers on our program.
Wow. And talk about the accolades, some of the things that you've seen that they've developed, some of the people you've been able to help. Can you talk a little bit about some of the programs that you've come up with for them, specifically for wrestlers?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been very lucky. I've gotten to work with 2 NCAA champions.
Yes.
Anthony Aspinall started on my program when he was in 7th grade. Pat Glory started on my program when he was in 10th grade. And I got to work with both of them all the way through. They became NCAA champions. I've also worked with Sam Latona since he was about 10 years old. He's a 2-time NCAA All-American. So I've gotten to work with a lot of great wrestlers, and it's a learning process both for me and for them. So they're learning about nutrition and how their bodies react to different things. But I'm learning all the time from how my athletes respond to my recommendations, and I'm constantly learning about things we can do better to make the program better. I'll tell you that the program now is much better than it was 15 years ago. It's always getting better. We're learning about what kids like better, what things respond to. And there are a lot more products on the market that we're allowed to use also that we didn't have available a long time ago. So
Right.
We're able to implement so many different things into everybody's program now that we couldn't do before.
Do you find that college coaches appreciate the data and having all that data from when a kid's younger, you know, going through high school to when they get to competition for their nutrition programs, or does it not matter as much?
I haven't found that to really be a significant factor. A lot of the college athletes that we work with started with us in high school,
Right.
and they've really determined that they're happy with the program and they want to continue with it through college.
It's interesting because I wonder, I'm sure they get some nutrition advice there and stuff like that too. So to stick with you, I thought that's an interesting dynamic, that they rather stay comfortable and keep going with what's working than kind of, you know, going on their own.
With the college athletes we work with, we usually see them when they're home for break. So we see them like the beginning of the summer, we see them at the end of the summer, we see them when they're home either in October, Thanksgiving, over Christmas break. And then we're constantly communicating with them through texting. And we also do Zoom appointments when we need to as well.
Beautiful. Would you mind giving maybe some tips to some wrestlers and stuff like that? Maybe on some any type of thing in terms of weight management or things, just some generalized ideas that they could, you know, take out of this podcast?
Yeah, so there's some general things that we tell all of our clients that we're happy to share with you. Number one, you want to be drinking lots of water. If you talk to different athletes, the one thing that they can't live without is water. They're more than happy to cut food. They don't want to cut water. So we want our clients to be drinking a lot of water. Most of our high school athletes, even the 106-pounders, are drinking about a gallon of water a day, every day, until right before the weigh-in. And then we'll start cutting water back 24 to 48 hours before the weigh-in, depending on their weight. But we never cut water completely. We go from like a gallon a day to maybe 3/4 to a half a gallon, something like that, based on how their weight's progressing. If you need to cut calories, you want to cut calories later in the day, not in the morning. So you always want to eat breakfast. You want to put about 60 to 70% of your calories before your afternoon practice and save about 20 to 30% for dinner. And by doing that, your body can burn those calories all day long, help you with school, because part of this process is you don't only want to be a great athlete, we want you to be great in the classroom. We also want you to be great at home, and we don't want you to be grumpy and hangry all the time, right? So those are all factors that we try to take into consideration. Plus, we understand that you have to live a normal life. There are things that are going to come up in your life, whether it's a family party, bar mitzvah, whatever it might be, and we're going to help you manage those situations. So the other thing that we do is if a client tells us, hey, I have to go to a party on Saturday, but I have to make weight on Thursday, what do I need to do? We give them some suggestions and help them manage that situation so they can still go to the family party, enjoy themselves, but not lose too much, not lose a lot of ground and be still on weight for Thursday.
So there's flexibility, which is very important for a high school kid, especially as they're coming up.
Yeah, every program's flexible. And even for the college athletes, they have things that they have to do as well. I mean, you're not in a vacuum just because you're a wrestler, right? So you have other things in your life that you have to do also. So we take that into consideration all the time.
That's really important, because I think part of the things with the programs is there's a lot of information out there, but they're very disciplined and not customized and not flexible. And that I think is part of the thing with nutrition that I ran into is you think you know what you're talking about until you run into an option and you're like, hey, what should I do here? And you don't know. Like, for instance, with my son, I know he was having trouble with his tendons. You know, he's getting tight and stuff. And then someone mentioned pickle juice. And, you know, it's just something I didn't notice and things like that. And just little different tips and stuff that you start to pick up over time on your health really make a big difference in your competition level, which I thought was interesting from some of the stuff we heard from everybody. You know, I forget who it was, but one of the wrestlers was on talking about how he tried to do it his way and that was the wrong way. And then he spoke with you and he was able to kind of find the right way, which made it a lot easier. And I think part of that comes with the idea of having a plan and not having to make those decisions by yourself on a consistent basis all day long.
You know, one of the things that Wrestling Mindset often talks about is controlling the controllables. And your nutrition is one of the controllables you can control. By having a plan to follow, you don't have to guess about it. I was in a situation as a parent that at 6 o'clock at night, my son has to make weight, but he needs to eat something. What should I feed him? How much should I feed him so he can still be in? And I'm guessing at all this. With a plan, you don't have to guess about that. With a nutritionist basically on speed dial, you don't have to guess about it. If you have a question, you can text, you'll get an answer pretty quickly, and we're able to help you navigate that.
And one of the other things you're able to help navigate is affordability. I know you have some insurance plans you take as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So we don't really accept insurance, but because we're a certified sports nutritionist, we're able to accept a healthcare savings account, which is often offered. And that's a plan where you get a Visa or MasterCard in order to cover out-of-pocket medical expenses. and a nutritionist is covered under such type of plan.
A lot of people don't even know they have that stuff that's in there, I know.
Right, and we often tell people you should check with your employer because you might have benefits that you don't even know about.
Right. That's exactly what happened with Doug. I spoke with Doug about that too. That was very interesting. One of the other things I wanted to get back to was about the water loading. For the people who aren't as advanced as I was, because I learned this myself, can you explain a little bit how much a gallon of water actually weighs and why when you cut water it helps you kind of ease into that weight?
Sure. So a gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. So if you're drinking a gallon of water a day and then we start bringing your water back, you're going to lose weight because you're not putting as much water weight into your body. So your body's able to lose some of the water weight you have. But if you're not drinking enough water consistently and then you start cutting your water back, you actually dehydrate your muscles. Your muscles take 24 to 48 hours to rehydrate if they become significantly dehydrated, which means that even if you weigh in the night before, your muscles will not be rehydrated in time for your competition, and it's going to affect your performance. If you have a same day weigh in, you're never going to be rehydrated enough in order to compete at your best. That's why we do a higher amount of water every day, and then we cut back a safe amount so your muscles never become dehydrated and you're always able to compete at your best.
And one of the other things I also noticed during the evaluation is the amount of data you collect. Can you talk about how important that data is? I mean, everything down from your resting calorie rate, all that kind of stuff like that you collect for people going forward, because I think that's kind of part of the allure is that it's not just a guesswork. We're talking about factual data.
No, our program is completely objective oriented. So we use two different types of assessment techniques. We use an InBody 570, which is a comprehensive body composition analyzer.
Okay.
And that measures muscle mass, body fat, resting metabolic rate. And we also use ultrasound. So all the nutritionists at Champion Athletes are certified weight assessors, both in New York and New Jersey. So we're able to also help the athletes through the certification process. So we both use the InBody 570 and the ultrasound to do our assessments.
Do you, for the people listening in different weight classes, do you find you deal with one weight class more than the other, or different weight classes? They all range well? Like, how does that normally work?
The majority of our clients are in the lighter weight classes, I would say like 150 and under, but we do have athletes in the upper weight classes as well.
Interesting. Do you approach them differently?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because their bodies are different.
Right.
The amount of calories they need is different. Some of the heavier athletes are struggling with losing too much weight.
Interesting.
So I know that you had Evan Matesic on your plan, and he came to me because he kept losing too much weight and was struggling to be at the weight class that he wanted to be at. So by helping him, we're able to keep him at a better weight, and he had a very successful season last season.
What do you think is harder, putting on weight or taking weight off?
They're actually both very challenging. Yeah. For the kids who need to gain weight, it can be just as hard to put in the amount of calories their bodies need as the kids who are trying to lose weight and not eat as much.
So either way, you're in a bad position.
But if you have a plan, it makes that process much easier.
So much easier. And explain that, having that plan, because I think that people don't realize. I mean, you think that, okay, just going to get a plan and they follow along and we have a couple of things, but it's very detailed, it's flexible, and it really takes the decision making out of it for the wrestler. And I think that's the most important thing. They have something that they can go to. They know exactly what they can eat, what they can't eat, what they can replace something with if they don't have an option, all of those things. So just talk about that flexibility.
Yeah. So in our plans, they're given 3 meals and 3 snacks a day and 7 different days a week. So they have the variety of having 7 different days that they can use. And the meals and snacks are interchangeable. So they're able to take the snack on Tuesday and replace it with the snack on Monday if either they ran out of something or that's what they have in their house. And again, the plans are built around them. So we don't just hand somebody a cookie cutter plan. We design it specifically for you.
Off of the intake information you get in the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. Is there anything else I missed on this, the nutrition thing? I think I pretty much covered all. I'm trying to think of it from a dad's perspective. When I first started, I mean, I heard about you from multiple people saying Champion Athletes on the show. Then I spoke to a bunch of people who obviously use your program. And one of the things I found out was just how important it was to have a resource and to take that decision-making out of the process, especially for the kids, for the parents, and to have that asset. Is there anything I missed along this that you'd like to share?
I think probably the ongoing process. So our clients come back into our office every 4 to 6 weeks for a checkup.
Okay.
And we remeasure their muscle mass, their body fat, and see how their bodies are changing. Because we want to make sure that they're just as strong for the postseason as they were in the preseason. And the only way to know that they're only losing the right things or maintaining their bodies the way they should be is to retest.
And what are you looking for when you retest? Like, what is the kind of things that you're looking for?
We're looking, like, if you're losing weight, we're looking to make sure you've only lost fat and you haven't lost any muscle.
Okay. And what about if you're trying to gain weight?
We want to see that you're gaining mostly muscle, possibly a little fat, depending on what your body fat percentage was, because there's some athletes we work with, as example, some track runners and things who are extremely lean, and it's actually working against them. So with some clients, we need to help them gain some body fat as well. But again, we're looking to see that they're gaining mostly muscle with just a little bit of fat.
And if you just step on a scale, you can't really tell.
No, a scale only tells you your weight.
Right.
And weighing yourself just once in a while doesn't give you accurate information either, because you don't know why your body is different that day. If you only weigh yourself once or twice a week, you don't know what's happening on the days in between. That's why we ask our clients to weigh themselves every morning and after practice every day, so we can really see how their bodies are changing.
Oh, that's awesome. So we really get the full scope. It's flexibility in the plan, but then the plan is built for all year. Off-season training, practice schedule, and all that kind of stuff. Because you're evaluating the data, you're able to see what they need to work on and what they're losing and where they're going.
And our program is based on a monthly program, because not everybody wants to work on a program like this all year round. So some of our clients work with us just for the wrestling season. Some of our clients work with us all year. The higher level wrestlers that are doing Fargo and other, high level off-season tournaments are working with us all year. But for some athletes, they want to work with us through the wrestling season and they want to take a break, and that's perfectly fine. So our programs are based on a monthly system. So you're only committed at a month at a time. And at any time you can pause or stop the program.
And if you do pause or stop and you're not taking measurements, does that affect, or just when you go back, you just restart again? How does that usually work?
When you come back, we have a new appointment.
Right.
We reassess where your body is, how it's changed, what your new goals are, because your goals are going to change 6 months after,
Of course.
the wrestling season. So we do a new evaluation and then we move on from there.
You have any good stories to share? Any good stories that stand out over the years of a wrestler who, a nutrition story maybe?
That's kind of a hard question.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of them.
Mostly because, everything we do is confidential with the clients that we work with.
Okay.
So, but I think probably a good example I think would be is that a college wrestler came to me because his brother was actually my client. Okay. And his brother was at a very competitive university, and he began struggling in his junior year, to the point that he almost considered quitting wrestling because he just couldn't put it together. And this was a Division I NCAA school, so super competitive. He came to me over Christmas. We were able to get him on a better track, and he had a successful post-junior year. And then his senior year, he All-Americaned. So for me, that was like a really great story, because here's someone who was ready to quit wrestling because he just couldn't put the nutrition part together. He was exhausted from cutting weight the wrong way, from trying to make weight the wrong way. And once he started working with us, over time, by his senior year, he was NCAA All-American.
That's a great story, Dan. Like it. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Next up, we spoke with Rutgers' very own Anthony White to get the full scoop on what it's like to work with Champion Athletics.
So Anthony was nice enough to help us today. We're going to walk through the assessment process that we use at Champion Athletes. It started off with measuring his height, but since he's 23, his height really hasn't changed recently. So we're going to go ahead and put him on the InBody. So he's going to go ahead and step on the scale. And at first point, he's just going to make sure his heels are on the back plates. He's not going to grab the handles. And this is similar to the way you get certified in high school. The only difference is in high school, they only measure 3 parts of your body. We measure 7 for a more accurate test. So your body fat today is 11.3%. That's 19.2 pounds of fat. Your hydration's good, 64.7%. You said you practiced earlier today, right?
Yeah, I make sure.
Yeah, so you still have 109.8 pounds of water in your body. So all your numbers came down nicely.
Yeah, what was the body fat last time?
11.67.
Okay, so it's down a little bit.
So you're down to 11.3. You're down about 0.5%, which is great. So all the weight that you lost has been fat. You haven't lost any muscle at all.
Welcome to New Jersey Match Out. I'm here with Anthony White. We're chopping up already, but wanted to get into the reason we're speaking to Anthony is because Anthony's now, where you at?
I'm at Rutgers University. I'm in my 5th year. I'm doing a master's program using my last year of eligibility. So.
And you've also been a champion athlete for how long?
It's going to be 9 years now. I started coming to Dan back when I was just a teeny bitty 106 pounder freshman year in high school. So that's 9 years, 5 year in 5th year in college. So you do the math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're still talking to him, and we just were discussing about how it's, even that you're in college, you're still using him. But take me back to that 106 pound, you're in sweat things and the garbage bags and stuff like that, and then you run into champion. So take me through that whole journey.
Yeah. So I started, 106, come in, I wrestled for South Plainfield. So it's a school where like we're good. So it's like I'm coming in like you're gonna be 106, right?
Yeah.
I actually could have been 13 that year, but like you're coming in South Plainfield, expectations pretty high. They want you like at that state tournament on that podium. We're a top 20 team in the state every year, back then. And so it's like I got to be 106. Like that's where all these guys start. They start at 106. I come into the season, I'm like 115, 160. And looking back, that's kind of crazy because you do it by percentages, right?
Yes.
I'm losing like, close to 10% of my weight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I go fall, we got to certify in high school. Like I've never cut it. Like I cut weight my whole life, but like, like 3-4 pounds for the state tournament every year, right?
Yeah.
But now I'm in this whole new animal where it's like my body wants to grow. I'm obviously like hitting puberty, right? So, but I have to make 106 still. So started weight certifications back in October. I remember it was so hard for me to like just get down because I had to be like 106 exactly, right? Because I was too skinny and hydrated, and like this is my first time doing anything like that. So like I had no idea what I was doing. So I was just like, screw it. I've been tough my whole life. I'm just gonna run this off. Ordered a sauna suit on Amazon. I'm hopping on the elliptical in the morning. I'm getting after it. And man, I remember I failed the first certification. I was on weight, but I drank maybe 32 ounces of water over a 24-hour to 48-hour span on top of practicing, and like I'm like probably like 5-6% body fat. So I'm just like skin and bones. I was pretty tall back then. I was like 5'5", 106. That's pretty tall for a 106 pounder. So I remember I walked home from the high school that day. I was like bawling my eyes out, crying. Cause like, I look back at it now and I have like, I feel for that kid. Like, I don't look at him like I felt like soft that day because I'm crying. But I look back and I'm like, man, because like right now I don't like. I still, we cutting weight never stops, but it's a lot easier when you do it the right way. I was like, man, that's really it was tough, right? It definitely for me, like that's lessons you get when you wrestle that, like, just no one really knows, right? Like that's a little lesson I got in the back of my head. Like no one's gonna know that. Like maybe my mom, felt bad for me that night. My mom, my dad, but
But now, if you could talk to that kid, what would you tell him today?
I would tell them go beat the champion athletes, right? In a good way, get advice. Like it's something like, especially nowadays, like with all technology, we have access to that, and like that's why it was great. So I started see Dan that year around December. So like right about when the season was gonna start. I think maybe after the first tournament.
Okay.
So obviously like I ended up certifying, got down, but like I was still like. That year 106, like I would fluctuate. My weight was still like 110 to 112, which that's 4 or 5 pounds when you're that light is still a decent amount, especially every time it adds up. So I came to Dan, and that's when it was big because it was it's tough on the parents too. I'm a Division I athlete, so like obviously the parents scene's out of it. It's a me deal. Like it's this stuff's on me, but like when you're a 14-year-old kid. The parents, it's just as much on the parents, and especially when you add in like, your parents got to work too. They have lives, and then you add this whole thing, and like you got a little kid who's going through puberty, trying to, get down to 106 pounds, and he's weighing 110, 112, and like, my dad never wrestled. My mom obviously didn't wrestle, so like they have no idea what's going on, no clue. So it's like getting that direction was huge. And like I will say, like I remember when I came to Dan, like you do the whole meal plan, fill out the form, what I like to eat, like what my mom makes, this, that, so that having that personalization, even though I had no idea what it meant back then, right? So that was good for me. Like now going through it, like I've learned so much over the years, and a lot of that's, coming in and meeting with Dan regularly, you just pick up on things. But I remember like that was like one of the best things that happened to me that year, because it set up the rest of my career too. And
talk about that, because I think that's the thing, that the reason why you're here is how does it affect you on the mat? Obviously, this nutrition thing, we know it's good for your health, and weight management. I mean, making weight one day, but then you get to states, you got to make it 3 days in a row. I mean, like it's a challenge all season. So talk about the difference that it made for having that.
Yeah, especially high school when you're talking three weigh-ins a week. Most times, it's way different than college. College is like a different animal in a lot of senses. So like that's where like Dan's part, like high school, like really helped me. Because like I started working with him, you know, like I was walking around, you know, 110 to 112, right? I was able to like bring that weight down to like 108, 107, whereas like I was in a way more manageable spot, and I'm not worried about going to practice. Like obviously, like when you're in high school, you're in discipline too. He's actually helped me there too, because you mess up sometimes, right? Especially when you're young. Like there's times like, you know,
Yeah,
like just
of course.
especially when you're a young grown boy and you're doing like all these workout, like I'm working out twice a day, I'm working out in the morning, you know, at practice. You know, you want to eat, like your body needs calories. So it's like even having that fallback. So like I remember like there's been plenty of times where I text Dan, like I'm like, you know, 3-4 pounds heavier than, and this is back when I was 106, like, hey Dan, I'm 112 today. I have to be 106 in
Yeah.
4 days. Dan was always like, no, it was always like, don't need to worry, you know, like you're in a, you know, like you're in, sometimes you'd be like, most times you're in a good spot, but he would be honest too when I wasn't in a good spot. And that dialogue, like even when I was like that young, like really helped, because it like just reassured me that like, hey, I'm gonna, like, it's gonna be fine.
Gives you confidence
Make a
and
weight.
knows what you have to do.
Yeah, and you know, then he tells me exactly like the amount of water I'm drinking that day, if there's any adjustments to my meal plan. And like the meal, like looking back at it now, like I didn't understand like the way, like why he did it that way, like when I
Right.
first started, because you know, like I was naive, but like looking back at it now, knowing what I know now, like learning more about it, it makes sense. Like he gives you a whole week, because like what matters is like when you're doing fat loss, it's all your average. It's your
Right.
averages,
Yes.
right? So he gives you 7 days where you can choose from meals, right? And you know, I didn't know this when I was 106, but like as long as I pretty much just ate whatever, you know, it was going to average out over time in a way where my weight was going to come down, you know.
Interesting.
Like
Right.
looking back, it like it made a lot of sense, and obviously it was great. I would never know that
It's
until,
almost foolproof.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things, and like I said, there's always adjustments, and like having that individualized advice is
Right.
just is big. And even like I said, I was 14, so I'm like, you know, like I think I know, like I'm a freshman, like I'm doing good. I'm undefeated this season, because like my freshman year, I had a great year. I was like, I remember I was like 30, 31-0, and then I lost the last duel of the year before we got into sections and groups. So I ended up not placing the states that year. I was blood round, but yeah, like the whole year I was ranked, you know, I was ranked top 6. Like I said, I didn't really.
And was this pre-Dan?
This was post Dan. So I started seeing Dan in December, right?
That's right.
I'm having a great season. So I still had a great year, you know, like even the freshman year, you know, you round to 12, right? That's still great. And like
It's amazing.
I had like crazy looking back at a lot of these like 106 brackets. Like there's probably like 20 kids who went Division I in that bracket. Actually a crazy bracket, like to look back on. There's like, I think I wrestled with Rutgers with a few kids in it, you know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
so it's like looking back at it, it was still a good season, right? I think I finished like I went like 40 and 4 or something.
That's a good season.
Yeah, it was a really good season. So like I was really upset when, you know, I lost in the blood round at States.
I'm
but
sure. Yeah.
It was still a great season. You know, a lot of it was because like I was able to go see Dan and like get the weight management under control. And you know, I kept working with him after that. I've always been like a year round with Dan, because I always did Fargo. You know, I'd take a month off maybe after
Mhm.
the season, but it was always Virginia duels, and it was Memorial Day duels, Fargo, whether it was cadet duels, schoolboy duels, schoolboy and middle school, but like it was always, you know, I would do the freestyle circuit. I was always training. You know, maybe in August I wouldn't like do anything.
Yeah.
But you know, September hit. It was like I was seeing Dan, and it was good. I was grateful. Like I established that relationship freshman year of high school, because coming back the next year, I shoot up to 140 pounds. You know,
Got that growth spurt.
and then you know we have a top 10 team in the state, and they're like, hey, you got to be 120. So.
Yeah.
But that next year was a lot better, because I was with him from the beginning, and like that was the first year I did like a true like fat loss descent starting like September, and it worked out for me. It was 120 was still tough, but like it was the point. It was fine, you know. So like it was something like I had to do. So we were really good that year. We were, you know, so
Tell me some of your high school accolades.
so my freshman and sophomore year, I was around the 12.
Okay.
So really tough years, like years where I was ranked pretty high in the state. Like in my sophomore year, I was like ranked 4th in the state going into the tournament.
Okay.
So like
yeah.
I was like
At this point.
it was tough.
Yeah.
But then junior year broke through, got to the semifinals, took 4th, and then my senior year I capped it off with the state title. So you know, definitely, I'm proud of it.
And the reason I'm asking that stuff is, do you think you could have got there without the guidance with Dan?
No, it was definitely something that was essential to my success, and
Yeah.
also like building onto that, like having a good foundation when I went into college, because like you get to college, you get some guys who don't have a good nutritional foundation too, and like it really is an X factor. And so like even having those years of working with him, like that really paid off and helped me in my college journey, and it's helping me still to this day, you know, and I'm still working with him. So
And did you notice a difference before and after when you were wrestling on the mat?
yes, for sure, especially in high school, because like like I was just like, you know, I didn't care about nutrition. Like I would eat whatever. Now I'm a freak. Like
Right.
you can't get me to put anything bad in my mouth, especially right now. But yeah, it was something where like like I said, my freshman year, I was looking at like maybe like not even be able to make it through the season. You know what I mean? I can barely certify, right? And then, you know, like I said, I didn't place in states, but, you know, I was around the 12, had a 40 win plus season, something I was proud of. And, you know, my energy on the mat was better. And I'll say like even beyond the mat, I think overall lifestyle, especially in high school where you got to make weight, you know, you're pretty much just wrestling all the time. You know what I mean? You're doing 3 duels a week. It's really a lifestyle. It's not like college where you have 1 or 2 dates a week, you know, and you could really plan out for that. So I'd say from the lifestyle standpoint, just like not having, yeah, I felt great on the mat, but I'd say the more of the benefit, especially in high school, came from just like having that lifestyle where like I'm not stressing constantly. Like, cause like looking back at it, like it's crazy. 14, 15-year-old kids got to go to school and stress about this stuff.
Dude.
So that took a lot out of it. And it definitely helped my parents too. Cause like my mom he has all the portions, brought a food scale. Like my mom would cook this stuff for me, you know, and like I would just come home and eat it. And then I just had to worry about wrestling. Right. So it took a lot of that mental strain out, which I definitely like made my high school career a lot better. Because you think, I look back at that like October freshman year, it's not setting up too good. You know what I mean? You look back, like most kids are going to probably just quit after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, you know, it was something that turned my high school career into something that was really fruitful. And, you know, I look back and a lot of it was because I came in to Dan when I did early on. And, you know, I'm blessed and fortunate I was able to work with him. And he's, like I said, still helping me out to this day. So it's been great.
That's awesome. I have one final question because I think it's an important thing that no one really talks about that we haven't touched on yet. Talk about the education you got from going through the program that you can take on for the rest of your life.
Oh yeah, so much. Most kids don't even like understand the concept of like calories in, calories out, what each macronutrient does. And a lot of this stuff too is like I took it because like I was genuinely interested in it. So like I on the side, like I learned about it. I wanted to learn more, and like I come and ask them questions. Huge help with that, you know, just understanding like what's the purpose of having carbs? What's the purpose of protein? Why do I need my fat to regulate my hormones, right? And he can give me all that advice. And like, it's funny, we'll come in, we'll just like talk about like something new every time, right? Because like I always want to learn, and like he's a professional, so it's great. I get to talk to someone who's a professional rather than, you know, you scroll on social media these days. Everyone's got their own kick. You know, eat this, eat that. You're gonna feel great. But the truth is, everyone's different. You know, and it's been good to kind of get like, you know, professionals like outlook on it, like certified everything. You know, he has his education. Like I can trust in that, right? As opposed to just, you know, getting my education like scrolling on Instagram reels, which I still love scrolling on Instagram reels, but you know, it's great. And then like also for me, like Dan's helped me a lot in terms of like supplementation, you know, what I should take, what I can't take, you know, this and that, especially like in terms of whether I want to gain weight or lose weight. Cause like in college, like I was 149, started out. Then I went up to 65 the last few years.
Okay.
So like Dan's been right there for me through all that, you know. So like I went from making 149 to, you know, the next summer be 185. Now I was a little fat, but like, you know, he helped me put on that weight I needed to, because 65, you gotta be like college to be big enough, you gotta be walking around at least 80, you know, 80 to 85. That's kind of the sweet spot preseason. Now I'm going back down to 57. So it's like, it's you know, it's been extremes after extreme.
But all these challenges are simple because you have a plan.
Because I have a plan, and like I don't like, yeah, like I like to take a little more of a step now that I'm older, because like, and like I like to do my own education because I value that, you know.
Yes.
But to have someone I can rely on and just like talk to, and like honestly the biggest thing, like coming in and getting the measurements done, because like at this point too, like me and Dan, like once you work with them long enough, you learn it so much yourself, you know. That's also the value where like I'll take that into the next part of my life. And like that's after like working with him for 9 years. So like that's something like I'll take with me forever, which is like just, you know, invaluable. But like even still today, I work with him because it's great. Like when you get data points, that's the most valuable thing. So like I come in, do the InBody, he does the ultrasound. I love that. And like I love the ultrasound he does too, particularly because like that's something you don't get in a lot of tests.
Right.
And it's very like specific. So like you can really see the before and after, especially we see each other like about every month. So like it's really easy to tell like, and I see it right there on the screen, like if I'm losing, gaining muscle. Whereas like a lot of times you do these scans, it's like it's spinning out a number. There's a lot of variables. Whereas like he does the ultrasound, like you really do know what you're getting there.
Yeah.
Because like even at Rutgers we do the DEXA scan, which is, you know, that's like tip of the spear. It's supposed to be the best scan. I still like getting these other data points. Like I'm fortunate enough where like I'm in a position where, you know, I get to come see him still.
And you can use them to navigate. You're comfortable
Yeah,
navigating.
exactly. And it's also it's a relationship too. You build a relationship with him. You know, it's someone like I trust what he's gonna tell me. Right.
I talk about that too, because I think that's one thing I didn't touch on. I touched on it with Dan a little bit, but that's one of the things I've heard from some of the wrestlers is that outside relationship, not necessarily nutrition information, but just being able to have those conversations when you're going through different cuts and things like that. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because I look back at times where I know I was fine, but I would just text Dan to like get that reassurance, you know. So it's like having someone there because like even in college, like when you're on the road, like if I'm on the road in like for example, like Minnesota, and it's
Right.
like a Friday night. I'm all by myself. Like I'm with my team, but I'm by myself. Like, you know, just having someone to reach out to, be like, hey, can I eat this? Like, is this gonna mess me up? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where it's like it's just like that reassurance. Especially like when you get to college and you know we're hopping on a plane like every weekend and we're traveling this and that, and then you got to kind of manage too. Like you got to weigh in today, and then you got to weigh in 2 days, right? Or you get some of those where you got back-to-back weigh-ins. Like college, you just get that whole spectrum of type of deals,
Yeah.
especially early on this season where you got where you got some of these open tournaments, and then you got duels, and then sometimes you're back-to-back, and you're at a conference. So like for us Rutgers, once we get into the Big Ten season, it's pretty straightforward. We know we're wrestling Friday, Sunday, and if we're not wrestling Friday, then it's once a week. So we're wrestling a Friday or a Sunday. So it's straightforward. Like we know what we're getting. Like I know my weight can be this, and that. But then you get into like months like November, December, it's a little different. You got a tournament here, then you got an out of conference duel here, and we're traveling to places we're not really used to. So just having that flexibility with like that kind of dynamic schedule is great. And it helps me stay balanced throughout the year, like physically, but also mentally. Cause you know, like just like I said, having someone to just text and be like, hey, am I good? Like, you know,
100%.
it goes a long way. And like, now I'm at the point like 5th year, like obviously like I've done so many weight cuts in my life. Like I've been in, cause like when you go through it so much, you know, there's good weight cuts or bad weight cuts, you know, not everything's going to be perfect. I've been fortunate enough to live through the extremes of both ends, you know? So I'm pretty knowledgeable there.
But what I think that shows the value is that even though you got the education, even though you're in a situation where you might not necessarily need it, you still love having that resource because it's home to grow and it's something you're easy to navigate with Dan. And I think that's an important thing in that relationship.
No, exactly. The relationship's huge. And like, also like, it's something where like, I'm still learning, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, I need someone to go to if I have a question. Especially like I said, supplements, like it's great. He can check for me if I can take a supplement, you know what I mean? Like Rutgers, we have that too. So like I have the resources, but like, I still like, cause sometimes he'll give me a more like introspective like opinion on it. Whereas like cause like when you go to like, it's like anything else, you got a doctor, right? One doctor might tell you one thing, another doctor might tell you another. So it's like the more resources, the better, especially like at this point in my career. So it's something where like definitely like I'm grateful to have the relationship still.
Yeah, and I know doctors, man, having someone you trust is more important.
No, exactly too. And someone like I've worked with, like I said, since I was that little 106 pounder. So
yeah, big time. Any message to the wrestlers out there who are on that fence about getting nutrition?
Go do it. Educate yourself, but first go to a professional, and they're gonna help you, and it's gonna change your life for the better. Trust me. The sauna suits when you're a freshman in high school is not the way to go.
Remember, don't do it the white way. Do it the right way.
Do it. Yep, that's good. That's good.
Anthony White, thank you very much for your time, man. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you. Another episode of New Jersey Mat Chat. All right, man.
That was pretty cool. That was my first podcast.
We have a special giveaway today on New Jersey Mat Chat. courtesy of Champion Athletes. Dan, present us. What are we giving away today?
So, Pete, as a gift to your listeners, we're going to donate a 1-month program that you can raffle off or give away to your listeners. That'll include the initial assessment, the body composition analysis, and a 1-month program including coaching for the listener that you guys choose.
So follow us on social media, on Instagram and on TikTok, and we'll be announcing the contest details on there. This is a great thing, Dan. I can't wait to give this away to somebody.
I'm happy to help a new client.
I appreciate it, man. Attention, wrestling fans, parents, and future state champs. This is your podcast. We're shining a light on the toughest high school New Jersey wrestlers and coaches who are building warriors one takedown at a time. Follow us, like, and subscribe on your favorite platform. Doesn't cost you anything, but it goes a long way to support the show. Don't just watch the journey, be part of it.